Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Philly Sports Power Hour on this Monday game day in Philadelphia. We're streaming live on YouTube on the JAKIB Sports Network, and we are live on TikTok as well. This is the Philly Sports Power Hour. A nice, quiet weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles. No big news coming out of the NovaCare complex this weekend. What a damn weekend it was. We find out Darius Slay gets knee surgery. We find out there's going to be no Zach Cunningham tonight. No Cam Jurgens tonight. Then a report Jalen Hurts is questionable, not flying with the team because of a sickness. And then a bomb gets dropped. Sunday morning, the Philadelphia Eagles have made a change to their defensive coaching staff, with Matt Patricia taking over play calling. And what exactly does this mean? Sean Desai going up to the coaching booth. We're going to talk about all of that, obviously, today, because it is a big game tonight, Monday Night Football, Eagles, Seahawks. But there's a lot coming out of the NovaCare complex. A lot of news coming out, and we'll digest it all. Also take a little look around the NFL. How about them Cowboys? Where's our Cowboys trolls that were in the chat all week long? Where are they at now? Love it. Cowboys get absolutely dominated by the Buffalo Bills. We'll talk about that. And we'll take a look at some of those games from yesterday. But guys, before we get into our Football Monday, usually we do our Football Friday, our Football Monday game day here on the Philly Sports Power Hour. Let's just take a quick look at some other Philadelphia teams in this city. Won't spend too much time. But how about our Philadelphia Flyers? I keep telling you, I say it every day on the Power Hour. Now's the time to turn back to our Flyers. They're putting a good product on the ice. They play really, really hard. They've now won 2 in a row. They're 7-1-2 in their last 10. They're getting some good goaltending by their backup, Urs. Shut out the Detroit Red Wings this weekend. So now is the time. And let me get a little roll call in the chat. I see everybody checking in, so I want to give a shout out to all my YouTube Power Hour crew. Wine Niners Wine in the house. Loves his Flyers. Adams Exploits, good morning to you. Poppy Nuts in the house. Eagles fan. T-Rich. Billy Ray. Who else we got? Chuck Hutton. New Jersey Fishing Maniac. Jason A-Team. Jared Ford, the Real Zeal, Chwiz. And it's good to see Chwiz back with a normal picture, man. No more bets, man. Please tell me I'm not going to see a Seahawks logo on your thing soon. Packer Park, representing an early Christmas present, Matt Patricia. We'll talk about Matt Patricia in a second. Nathan Hoffman, Thunderbird. Man, all you guys are here. Devin Owens, Decoy Gaming, Eric Gallagher. Apologize if I missed you, but it is good to see my Power Hour crew. I do appreciate all you guys spending this hour with us. So real quick, before we jump headfirst into the NFL and start previewing this Eagles-Seahawks matchup and all the news coming out of the NovaCare complex, like I said, the Philadelphia Flyers are a good team. I had zero expectations for that team coming into the season, but they keep on winning, 7-1-2. In their last 10, second in the Metropolitan. Sixers keep on winning. They win their 6th straight, and Joel Embiid is in MVP form. He looks absolutely unstoppable. So that's the good stuff that happened this weekend. But let's jump right in, because I know everybody wants to talk about it. Sean Desai out as defensive coordinator. Some mixed news reports coming out of the NovaCare complex. Sean Desai still defensive coordinator in name and title. But when you have an offensive head coach like the Philadelphia Eagles do with Nick Sirianni, your defensive coordinator, if he is not calling the defensive plays, he's not the defensive coordinator. So is this just a way for them to basically change defensive coordinators without formally changing defensive coordinators? That's what I think is going on here. But he's still going to be the named DC. Now, the interesting thing is, and we'll get into whether I think this is a good move or not, but whose decision was this? Was this, in fact, Nick Sirianni's decision? I'm not saying it's not the right decision, because we know how much the Philadelphia Eagles defense has struggled the last 6 games and really the whole season. And I've been saying on this show for a couple of weeks now, this was not an overreaction to just 2 games. This defense has been bad all season long. I asked the question 2 weeks ago, before the San Francisco 49ers game, if this defense was good enough to go back to a Super Bowl. I had my doubts with this defense before these last 2 games, as everybody should have. Let's just look at the last 6 games. They let the Washington Commanders put up 472 yards. The Dallas Cowboys in the first matchup, 406. Kansas City, 336, and it could have been worse in that game with the drop passes by the Kansas City wide receivers. Then you look at the Buffalo Bills, put up over 500 yards on this defense. The San Francisco 49ers, 456 yards, scored touchdowns on 6 straight drives. And then they go into the Cowboys game, a game that we all thought that they were going to bounce back in a big way. They give up 4 straight scoring drives in that game. And the Cowboys put up close to 400 yards. Could have been even worse. So this move shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. I don't think it's an overreaction at all when you take a look at what's going on with this defense. And I see T. Rich saying, why is this defense so bad? Do you think it's the coaching, the players, or the chemistry? And T, I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. It's the personnel. I don't think Sean Desai was doing a good job by any means. Them making this move, I'm all for, because I don't think Sean Desai was doing a good job. But realistically, it's the personnel. I've said it on this show repeatedly that I didn't care who they would bring in as the defensive coordinator, that I don't think they can do anything to make this defense be a Super Bowl contending defense with the personnel that they're rolling out on the field. And we went into it last week as to why. I went through all of Howie Roseman's draft picks, the last 5 seasons on the defensive side of the ball. And outside of D tackle, Howie Roseman has missed on every single defensive draft pick for the last 5 seasons. I'm not including this year. Let's hope the guys he took this season with Sidney Brown and Keely Ringo aren't going to be misses. But those guys are rookies, man. When you're throwing in rookies on a team that's supposed to be competing for a Super Bowl, yeah, you want to hopefully get rookies that can contribute a little bit. But you have to expect some growing pains. You have to expect them to make some mistakes. You look at Sidney Brown, as aggressive as he plays, as excited as I am for Sidney Brown and his future on this team, he's going to make mistakes down the stretch. It's just the nature of being a rookie in this league, especially a guy like Sidney Brown who plays with such aggressiveness and reckless abandon. He's going to make some mistakes. And you look at Keely Ringo. Well, we're going to find out what we have in Keely Ringo tonight, because no Darius Slay tonight. Maybe no Darius Slay for a couple of weeks after getting arthroscopic surgery on his knee. So Keely Ringo thrown into the fire tonight. Hopefully, against a backup quarterback in Drew Lock, who stinks, but against 3 really good wide receivers. And we'll talk about this matchup shortly. But you're going to see Kelee Ringo tonight going up against DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and a really good rookie wide receiver in Jackson Smith-Njigba. So we're going to learn a little bit about Kelee Ringo tonight. But like I said, when I look at the personnel on the defensive side of the football, you have to put the blame on Howie Roseman's draft picks over the last few seasons. You need to, and everybody commenting, if you follow me on Instagram at Legal Hands to the Face, or if you follow me on TikTok, and we're live on TikTok right now, I have people commenting about the defense. Well, this is what happens when you pay a quarterback $200 million. This is what happens when you pay a wide receiver $100 million. This is what happens, though, when you can't hit on defensive draft picks. Because the way the NFL salary cap works, you have to have players who are still on their rookie contracts, which is normally 4 years. You get that 5th-year option if you took a guy in the first round. But if you didn't take him in the first round, you get a 4-year rookie deal. You have to be able to have guys who are still on their rookie contracts contribute to your team, especially a team that is built like the Philadelphia Eagles, where they do have a lot of money invested on the offensive side of the football. So Howie Roseman has to hit on these draft picks. You have to have guys that are still on their 4-year or 5-year rookie deals contributing. And I went through these players with you guys last week. Last season, outside of D tackle, we all know he can draft D tackles. But outside of D tackle, Howie Roseman and his staff, because this is why you hire and pay scouts and the scouting department, but the buck stops with Howie Roseman. He's the general manager. He puts that scouting staff in place. You look at last year's draft. They take linebacker Nakobe Dean on IR. They draft defensive end Kyron Johnson. He's on the Pittsburgh Steelers. You go to 2021, outside of, again, Milton Williams at D tackle. You took cornerback Zach McPherson. He's on IR. Defensive end Teron Jackson, practice squad. Safety linebacker Jacoby Stevens, not even on an NFL team. Defensive end Patrick Johnson, 0 defensive snaps this season. Then you go to 2020. Linebacker Davion Taylor, not even on an NFL team. Safety Kevon Wallace, bounced from the Cardinals to the Titans. Linebacker Sean Bradley, on IR, but was only a special teams player before this season. Defensive end Casey Toohill on the Washington Commanders. And then you go back to 2019, defensive end Sharif Miller, not even on an NFL team. So I know we all want to blame Sean Desai, and I'm not saying he was doing a good job. But for me, this is more of a personnel issue that started 4 years ago with how Howie Roseman and his scouting department has drafted defensive players. And I said this last week, and like I said, guys are telling me, oh, well, this is what happens. This is what happens when you pay Jalen Hurts all that money. This is what happens when you pay A.J. Brown all that money. No, this is what happens when you can't draft defensive players. It doesn't matter how much you pay Jalen Hurts. It doesn't matter how much you pay A.J. Brown. If you could draft defensive players, you wouldn't be in this position because the Eagles would have guys on their rookie contracts, again, which is a 4-year contract, contributing to this defense, and you don't have it. Outside of the D tackle position, look at our edge rushers. You got Hassan Reddick, free agent signing. You have Josh Sweat, one of the best draft picks they had, but you got to go all the way back 5 or 6 years. He's not on his rookie deal anymore. You look at your linebackers, an absolute mess at linebacker. Zach Cunningham had to sign him in training camp. Shaq Leonard had to pick him up because the Colts let him go. What does he even have left in the tank? We're going to find out tonight because no Zach Cunningham tonight. And who's our backups? You got Nick Morrow, a guy you cut in training camp, somebody that the Chicago Bears just let walk out the door. Ben Van Sumeren, guy played fullback a couple years ago. You look at the corners. James Bradbury, free agent signing. Darius Slay. Eagles didn't draft him. Kevin Byard, aging veteran at safety, they had to make a trade for because Howie Roseman realized he messed up. Letting Marcus Epps, a guy he found as a free agent who was undrafted, Eagles sign him, and now they let him walk. Now, Howie did do a good job of finding some undrafted talent. You give him credit for Reed Blankenship, and you give him a lot of credit for TJ Edwards, and then they let him walk out the door. And I have people saying to me, oh, well, he just wanted to go home. He wanted to go back to Chicago. If the Philadelphia Eagles wanted to keep TJ Edwards, they could have kept TJ Edwards. This is more of a personnel problem. And I agree with making the move away from Sean Desai. You had to do something. You had to change up something. But for me, I don't think it's going to change that much down the stretch. You still lack the personnel on the defensive side of the football to go back to a Super Bowl. And we talked about it last week, what I want to see from this Eagles defense. I have to see Shaq Leonard be our savior. I'm not expecting it, but that's what I'm hoping to see. Because he's really the only addition to this personnel group that can make an impact if he can get back to that all-pro form. I wouldn't bet on it, but that's what I'm praying happens because that's the only thing I see saving this defense. And even still, they have some issues. So we'll talk about the move to Matt Patricia. And they had to do something. This defense has been bad all season long. We've talked about it on this show when I told you guys we weren't overreacting to 2 games. This defense is sitting in the bottom category, the bottom of the NFL in almost every single category. 22nd in yards per game. Well, let's look at, everybody hated Jonathan Gannon. He was a polarizing figure in this town. Everyone wanted to complain about the job Jonathan Gannon did. Now, I agree it was a different personnel group. He had better safeties, for sure. He had better linebackers, without a doubt. You talk about better linebackers. I'd kill for TJ Edwards and even Kazir White right now over Nick Morrow, an aging Zach Cunningham, an aging Shaq Leonard. And I think Morrow and Cunningham have played a lot better than we could have expected. But it still pisses me off they let TJ Edwards out the door. And I said it the moment they let him out the door. This isn't hindsight being 2020. I was posting videos to Instagram and TikTok all summer long. They should have never let TJ Edwards out the door. Kazir White, I was okay with. I said that in the offseason. I thought he had an up and down season. But I still think he probably would be giving you more than what you're getting right now from that linebacker group. But I was okay with that decision. It was the TJ Edwards one that really gets me, man. Really gets me. But you look at this defense last year under Jonathan Gannon. Number 2 in the league in yards against. This year, 22nd. Top 7 in the league in points per game last year. 28th this year. And this is the worst one. Passing yards against. That defense last year gave up 179.8 yards per game. Number 1 in the entire NFL. They're sitting at 28th. They went from being the best pass defense in the entire league to being one of the worst. A lot of that has to do with the pass rush. I agree. They're not getting home. They're not doing enough to put pressure on these quarterbacks. And you look at the run defense. That's one area that they improved significantly this season until the last 3 weeks, giving up over 150 yards rushing each game. And I'm really concerned when you look at the defensive line. I am really concerned that these guys are going to start to hit a wall. You look at the snap counts from last season and you compare them to this season. All of these guys are playing more snaps than they played last year. Josh Sweat, significantly more. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, obviously, all those guys are playing more. Fletcher Cox is playing more. Hassan Reddick's playing more. Now, he played a lot of snaps last season, but all of these guys are probably going to set career highs in snaps along that defensive line. They are not as deep as we thought they were going to be when they came into the season. At D tackle, they are. D tackle is deep with Jordan Davis and Milton Williams and Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox and even Marlon Tupelotu, another D tackle that Howie Roseman drafted. They can draft D tackles. But then you look at the edge. Made a mistake bringing Derek Barnett back. A lot of people didn't like that move. Turns out they were right. Barnett's not even on the team anymore. Had to cut him. They drafted Nolan Smith in the first round this year. When I say you can't rely on rookies on the defensive side of the ball, well, one thing you can hopefully rely on is a first-round draft pick to contribute. And Nolan Smith hasn't showed us anything yet this season. I'm not out on Nolan Smith. He's still young. He's still a rookie. I think he can grow into a good player, but I don't know how much you can rely on him to make an impact on this defense. So that defensive line on the edge, not as deep as we thought they were going to be. And with Josh Sweat playing a career high in snaps, does he hit a wall? As deep as the D tackle position is, do Jalen Carter and Milton Williams and Jordan Davis start to hit a wall when they hit their career highs? Obviously, Jalen Carter already at his career high, being a rookie. So I put a majority of the blame on the personnel. But I do like the move to Matt Patricia. This guy, whether you like Matt Patricia's personality or not, is an obvious upgrade from Sean Desai when you just look at their careers so far in the NFL. Matt Patricia is a Super Bowl winner, multiple-time Super Bowl winner. And I know we all can point to the fact that it was Bill Belichick, and on the offensive side of the ball, they had Tom Brady. But you look at their resumes, and there's no denying that Matt Patricia has a better resume than Sean Desai does. When you look at what Matt Patricia did as the head coach in Detroit, he was horrible. And they didn't even have good defenses in Detroit. But I still think he has the resume, more experience, that maybe he could get a little bit more out of this defense. And I also look at it as, we talked about hockey earlier. Well, one thing in the NHL is they change head coaches a lot. And they change the head coach because a lot of times it sparks the team to play a little bit harder. That change of a voice has an impact on the way the team plays and how hard they play. So I think when you look at this defense, really all season, outside of a few good halves, this defense has been bad all season long, and you look at how historically bad they've been over the last few games. I like making this move because you obviously can't get rid of the entire defense. You can't cut every damn player on the defensive side of the ball. You can't bring in new guys this late in the season to change the personnel. So the only option you had was to change the voice on that defense to hopefully spark something. And I see Billy Ray in the chat. Should they just have fired Desai? It feels like a distraction keeping him with the DC title. And Billy Ray, I agree with you, man. I don't know what the hell they are doing. And I don't like that this gets reported by Jay Glazer on a Sunday morning before kickoff that this happened during the week. But that's why, to me, this whole thing screams that it's coming from Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. Because when Nick Sirianni was asked at his press conference if he was going to make a change on Tuesday, he said, no. We have a lot of confidence in Sean Desai. That's why then he corrected himself. That's why I hired him. So I don't know what's going on. I'm sure we'll continue to learn more. But I do think it's a little bit of a distraction to keep Sean Desai in title only. But I'm okay with the move. But guys, I want to say this, and I'm not going to be able to say this enough over the next few weeks. This defense will most likely play a lot better over the next 4 games. And I don't want everyone to get their hopes up that Matt Patricia has come in and saved this defense. Because a majority of the reason why this defense will probably play better over the next 4 games is because of the teams that they're going to play. If they don't play better, I'm going to lose my mind, because if you look at the 4 games they have left, 3 teams, the Seattle Seahawks, the New York Giants twice, and the Arizona Cardinals, you don't have a offense that is above the 20th best offense in the NFL. The Seahawks are 20th in the league in yards per game. The Cardinals are 24th in the league in yards per game. And the New York Giants are 31st in the league in yards per game. And you're most likely going to get a backup quarterback in Seattle. And you're going to get God knows who for the Giants. Is it going to be Tommy Cutlets? Are you going to get Tyrod Taylor? So everybody, please, let's lower our excitement when this defense plays better over the next 4 games, because it's not all Matt Patricia that's going to come in and save this defense. It's the opponents they're going to play. So until they do it against a good offense, which we won't see until the playoffs, I'm going to temper my excitement a little bit about the job Matt Patricia is going to do, because I could already hear it now. I'm already hearing all the fans and everybody, oh, Matt Patricia, save the defense. Let's all chill for a little bit. They're probably getting a backup quarterback on a bad offense tonight. They're going to get a bad quarterback on a bad offense next week and the week after and the week after. And yes, I'm including Kyler Murray as a bad quarterback. I don't think he's good at all. I think Kyler Murray stinks, to be honest with you. And I think the Cardinals severely messed up giving him all the money they gave him. But guys, go ahead and smash that like button for me. If you're here on TikTok, hit that like button. Make sure you're following. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, smash that share button. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to dive into this Seattle Seahawks matchup, because as bad as the Eagles are, and it feels like the sky is falling and there is crumbles at the NovaCare complex, that they are just crumbling down, this Seahawks team isn't very good. So we'll talk about that. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
They're carving them up, and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their Fantasy Pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back into the Philly Sports Power Hour on this Eagles game day, Monday Night Football. But with all the news coming out of the NovaCare complex this weekend, it's hard to remember there's even a game tonight. You know, and I wasn't as excited as I normally would have been with the Dallas Cowboys getting dominated. Because you're sitting here, and I know we worry about the Cowboys losing and the 49ers losing, and you want the Eagles to still win the NFC East. But we got to take care of our own house first right now, because it seems like things are a mess with the Philadelphia Eagles. And it could go a long way to righting the ship with a win tonight. But I expect the Philadelphia Eagles to win the next 4 games. If they don't, that would be a shock to me, because they're playing 4 bad teams. But that doesn't change my opinion. Even if the Philadelphia Eagles go 4-0 down the stretch, it doesn't change my opinion that this defense isn't good enough to get them back to a Super Bowl. And I've been talking about it before they made the change with Sean Desai, that it's personnel that makes me feel that way. Will Matt Patricia help? Yes, I'm sure he will. I think he'll do a better job than what Sean Desai did. But you can only do so much with the personnel that you have. And we talked about last week, there are 3 things I need to see over the next 4 games to bring back hopes for me that this team can go back to a Super Bowl. One of them was the defense needs to play better, and Shaq Leonard needs to show me that he is some semblance of what he was when he was an all-pro linebacker in Indianapolis. If he does that, I'll start to get a little bit more hope and excitement for this defense. Not expecting it, just hoping for it. And the next is the offense. I need this offense to fire on all cylinders, because we knew coming into this season that if the Eagles were going to repeat as NFC champs, they were probably going to do it with their offense, putting up so many points that opposing teams couldn't keep up. I need to see that offense. Hopefully we get Jalen Hurts tonight. The reports are most likely he will play. I'm hoping for a Jordan flu game tonight where Jalen Hurts goes off, where the Eagles are balanced running the football. How great would that be? A novel idea. Have a little bit of frickin' balance on offense. And Midnight Lexicon, taking the quote I said last week about the defense, is you can put lipstick on a pig, but you're still a pig. It's exactly what I said last week, Midnight. Not sure if you were here. And then the third thing I wanted to see to give me hope was that the San Francisco 49ers would stumble down the stretch. that they showed us that they are, in fact, human and can be beaten. Haven't seen it yet. Maybe we'll see it this week against the Baltimore Ravens. But when we talk about balance, let's take a quick look around the NFL yesterday, because the one thing that did ease the tension a little bit of all the mess that's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles was watching the Dallas Cowboys get absolutely dominated by the Buffalo Bills. But it also frustrated the hell out of me. And the reason it frustrated the hell out of me is, did you see how many times the Buffalo Bills decided to run the football? 49 times the Buffalo Bills ran the ball against the Dallas Cowboys. What did we say all week leading up to the Cowboys game? Run the ball. Establish the run. Keep the Cowboys offense on the sidelines. Dominate the line of scrimmage. They run it 49 times against the Cowboys and absolutely dominated them. And then you look at what the defensive line for the Buffalo Bills did, putting pressure on Dak Prescott all game. All game. That's the formula to beating that team. Now, look, the Cowboys are a different team on the road than they are at home. I gave you the numbers leading up to the week against the Cowboys about how good they are at home. And it's like historically good. But it was frustrating to see what the Buffalo Bills did to the Cowboys, because that was the game plan we all wanted to see the Philadelphia Eagles try to do. And I'm praying to God tonight this Eagles team comes out and has a balanced offense. We ask for it every single week. Please give the ball to DeAndre Swift tonight. Establish the run. Let your offensive line dominate the line of scrimmage. Let them get into a rhythm tonight. And I'm hoping that they do, because let's jump in. Let's look at this matchup. We'll start with that Seattle defense. This Seattle defense is not the Seattle defense that you guys are used to seeing in Seattle under Pete Carroll. The Legion of Boom is long gone. This defense stinks. They've stunk all season long, and they're banged up. They may not have their rookie sensation, Devin Witherspoon, who's an absolute stud, by the way, also out of Illinois, like Sidney Brown. But Devin Witherspoon's questionable. Their safety, Jamal Adams, is questionable. But even with those two guys, even if both of those guys play, this defense stinks. They're 28th in yards against, 27th in points against, 25th in passing yards against, 23rd in rushing yards against. And here's something that may be music to everyone's ears. They also stink on third down, something that we're so used to seeing from our Eagles defense. Well, at least there's another defense that stinks on third down also. They're 30th in the league, giving up third downs 46% of the time, and they also stink in the red zone, 26th in red zone defense. So if there was ever a week to get this offense going, this is the week to do it. Now, I know we don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play. I think he will. I don't think they would have put him on a plane to Seattle if he wasn't going to play. But whether we see Jalen Hurts or Marcus Mariota, there better be a balanced offense. They better give the ball to their running backs more than 25 times tonight. Pound that rock. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about, oh, well, you don't run to win games in the NFL. Look at what the Buffalo Bills just did to the Dallas Cowboys. You can run the ball effectively in this league and win games. And I'm not asking for them to run it 49 times like the Buffalo Bills did to the Cowboys. Just be balanced. Just get your running backs involved earlier than what you've been doing. And look, if it was working, I wouldn't complain. If the Philadelphia Eagles were giving their running backs the limited carries that they've been, but they were dominating first halves, okay, keep doing it because it works. but they're not dominating first halves. They've scored 7 or less points in 4 straight games. So clearly it's not working. Wasn't working on defense. You made a change. You got rid of Sean Desai and you replaced him. Well, you're probably not going to replace your head coach, Nick Sirianni, who's your offensive coach. I know Brian Johnson calls the plays, but Nick Sirianni's in the room helping build these game plans that they come out with in the first half. And the game plans have sucked. 7 or less points, 4 straight games in the first half. So establish the run, please. The Seattle Seahawks defense isn't very good. And I see M. Reyes saying, can you at least put some context on it? We had the hardest stretch and then faced the 2 top NFC contenders on full rest. Reyes, I agree with you, okay? The Eagles had a tough spot. It was a tough schedule. They had a couple of emotional wins. And then they had the 49ers on 10 days rest. They had the Cowboys on 10 days rest. And Reyes, I would agree that if they lost those games, it would have been understandable. But it wasn't just that they lost. It was how they lost. They were absolutely dominated on both sides of the football. And when you look at the decisions by this coaching staff, especially in the 49ers game and in the Cowboys game, with refusing to try to establish the run when you are coming down the stretch of a very tough few games, after your defense just played over 80 snaps against the Buffalo Bills, it's not rocket science for a coaching staff to say, maybe we should try to run the football, control the clock, and keep our defense on the sidelines. Because we can't stop the 49ers. We haven't been able to stop the Cowboys. The Cowboys' offense is unbelievable at home. So let's run the football a little bit. And they didn't do it. And when you look at the Eagles' defense, I don't want to hear that it was just these 2 games where the opposing teams had longer rest. The defense has been bad all season long, guys. Like I said, I was asking the question before the 49ers game if the defense was good enough to win a Super Bowl. And what we've seen the last 2 weeks, unfortunately, the answer is no. They're not. Maybe Matt Patricia makes some significant changes. Maybe Shaq Leonard comes in and rescues this defense and plays all-pro level linebacker that changes everything. I wouldn't put money on it to happen. That's what I want to see happen, guys. You know I'm an Eagles fan. I bleed green just like you guys do. I don't want to be negative. But when you look now at 13 games, when this team has been trying to tell us who they are as a team, and we keep making excuses and keep just looking to the fact that they keep winning, I think it's time that we accept what this team is. They have a really bad defense. A really bad defense. And it's not just because of Sean Desai. We talked about it at length in the first segment. I talked about it last week. They lack the personnel. But tonight, we're going to see what we have when we talk about personnel. So let's jump over to the defense. Because you're going to see 2 players who we haven't seen a lot of yet this year get a lot of playing time tonight. One of them is Shaq Leonard. Tonight will show us, what does this guy have left? You got no Zach Cunningham tonight. Zach Cunningham's out with a knee injury. So you're going into this game with Shaq Leonard, Nick Morrow, and Ben Van Sumeren as your linebackers. Frustrates the hell out of me every time we talk about the linebacker position. Just frustrates me because we all said it all offseason that they were ignoring this damn position. But maybe Howie Roseman gets lucky. Maybe Shaq Leonard steps up and shows us that he's got some left in the tank. But you're going to see a lot of them tonight because I highly doubt they're going to give Ben Van Sumeren a lot of reps. So that's a guy to look out for tonight. Number 53. That's who my eyes are going to be on. Because that's the one thing that could maybe bring back some hope for this defense is what does this guy have left? And tonight, against most likely a backup quarterback in Drew Lock, who, newsflash guys, isn't very good. Isn't very good at all. Drew Lock. Hopefully he looks pretty good tonight. And you're going to see another player that we haven't seen a lot of tonight. And I see people asking about him on TikTok as well. Rookie Kelee Ringo most likely gets the start tonight in place of Big Play Slay. So what do we have in Kelee Ringo? I want to see why the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman decided to trade a third-round draft pick to move up in the fourth round to take Kelee Ringo. And he's going up against three good receivers, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and rookie Jackson Smith-Njigba. These guys are good. I want to see what Kelee Ringo does tonight. Now, again, a pretty good game for Ringo to get in and for Shaq Leonard to get in because most likely the Eagles are catching a break going up against Drew Lock as their quarterback this week. Drew Lock has started 22 games in the NFL, 18 for Denver, 4 in Seattle. He's 8-14. He's thrown 27 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. He's been sacked 37 times, and he's fumbled the ball 13 times. So one area that this defense has struggled all season long has been takeaways. And they've turned it over too much on offense, sitting there at a -4 turnover differential on the year. It's amazing that this team is 10-3 with a -4 turnover differential. But hopefully tonight, when you're going up against Drew Lock, who's turned the ball over a lot in his career, threw 2 interceptions last week, that this defense is going to be able to create some turnovers, some takeaways tonight. And that's what I want to see from a Matt Patricia defense. I want to see them more aggressive. And I'm not just talking about blitzing. We've talked about it before on this show. In the modern NFL, people don't blitz all the time. This is not the Buddy Ryan Eagles. People don't blitz. A very few. There's like a handful of defensive coordinators in this league that blitz a lot. One of them's in New York, Wink Martindale. And I think he stinks as a defensive coordinator. So I don't expect Matt Patricia to blitz a lot. When I say be more aggressive, I want them to be more aggressive across the board. I want them to not only be more aggressive, maybe blitzing a little bit more, but more aggressive in their pass coverages, getting closer to the line of scrimmage, getting in the face of these wide receivers, being physical. And this isn't something that coaching can change, but something that maybe is going to be a wake-up call to this defense when you fire your defensive coordinator, essentially, is they need to be more aggressive in how they tackle. Because we've talked about it the last couple of weeks. I don't care who your coaches are. You should be able to tackle at this point of your career. You're in the NFL. And Seth Joyner said it on my Legal Hands to the Face show a couple of weeks ago. Tackling is an attitude. So hopefully with the Philadelphia Eagles holding Sean Desai accountable for this defensive struggles, that this defense shows up and is not only more aggressive with blitzing and coverages, but how they tackle. And I also want to see them more aggressive, as I said earlier, in the takeaway department. Go after the football a little bit. Force some damn turnovers. The only time we've really seen a defensive player go after the ball was Bradley Roby on Travis Kelce in that Chiefs game in the red zone, which was a great play. Let's see a little bit more of that. But I do think you're going to see this defense play better tonight. And we're going to have to really do a good job, guys, of not getting too excited. They're playing a really bad Seattle Seahawks offense, especially if they have their backup Drew Lock in the game. You look at this offense, they're 20th in the league in yards, 15th in passing, And the way this Philadelphia Eagles defense has been, who knows? Maybe Drew Lock throws for over 300 damn yards tonight. We've seen everybody else throw for 300 yards. Even Mac Jones in New England threw for over 300 yards against this Eagles defense. But they're 28th in rushing yards. They haven't been very good on third down, which is a godsend for the Philadelphia Eagles, because we know this Eagles defense is the worst third down defense in the NFL. So hopefully going up against a bad Seattle Seahawks offense on third down, that we'll see this defense get off the field, because I can't take another game of watching our defense not get off the field on third down. But I don't want to be negative, guys. I don't. I just look at this defense, and I know they changed the defensive coordinator. Great. Maybe it helps a little. But I look at this defense, and I just think they lack the personnel. And we've talked about why. I blame the struggles we are seeing on this defense on Howie Roseman's inability to draft defensive players outside of the D-tackle position. But maybe they show up tonight. Maybe Keely Ringo balls out. Maybe Shaq Leonard balls out. And that'll have me feeling a little bit better. And I'm going to give you guys my prediction, because we do predictions every single week when it's game day. But let me tell you this. Anyone that tells you they know what's going to happen tonight is either an idiot or a liar, because we have no idea what to expect tonight. You don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play. You don't know if he does play, how healthy he is. We don't know if Geno Smith's going to play. We don't know what this defense is going to look like. We don't know how Keely Ringo is going to play. We don't know what Shaq Leonard has left in the tank. We don't know if Devin Witherspoon's playing for the Seahawks, if Jamal Adams is playing for the Seahawks. There are so many unknowns. So any experts who tell you they know what's going to happen tonight are either idiots or liars, because we have no idea what's going to happen tonight. So all I can do, instead of giving you my prediction tonight, is tell you what I hope to see tonight. And what I hope to see is an Eagles team that knows they need to win this football game. After losing 2 straight, and I get it, they were on shorter rest than their opponents. They were tough spots. But it wasn't just losing the games, it was how they lost them. I'm hoping to see an Eagles team with all of the turmoil that's being reported, that's coming out, some finger pointing on the defense, the change of the defensive coordinator or the play caller, whatever you want to call it. I'm hoping to see an Eagles team that shows up tonight knowing they need to win this football game and plays a more aggressive style of defense. And like I said, I'm not just talking about blitzing. I'm talking about being more aggressive across the board, coverages, tackling, going after the football. And on offense, what I want to see, whether it's Hurts or Mariota, I want to see our running backs get 25 carries tonight. Let's establish the run early. Let's show that we can still dominate the line of scrimmage and win football games in the trenches. And I'm hoping to see this Eagles offense start to fire on all cylinders. Again, it depends on if Jalen Hurts is healthy or not. But at the very least, let's establish the running game. And if the Eagles can get out of Seattle, a place that they've not won since 2008, they've never beaten Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. Pete Carroll with the Seahawks is 7-0 against the Eagles. But this Seahawks team is not the team of old. They're not the Legion of Boom. They don't have Russell Wilson at quarterback. They may not even have Geno Smith at cornerback. So I do think when you look at all of the overall things, that the Eagles team is better. I do think the Eagles are better on defense than the Seahawks are, as crazy as that is. I think the Eagles offense is head and shoulders better than the Seahawks offense. So overall, I do expect the Eagles to win this game. But I have no idea what to expect. When you look at all of the factors leading up to this game, we don't even know who's playing. But I think the Eagles roster is better than the Seahawks roster. So if the Eagles can get out of there with a win, it would do a lot to calm some things down. I still have my concerns about the defense. Definitely will still have my concerns about the defensive personnel. But if they can win this game, they take control of the NFC East. The Cowboys have another tough game going up against the Miami Dolphins in Miami. And the Eagles do have 3 relatively easy games. So I'm predicting the Eagles win, but I have no idea what to expect tonight when we don't even know who's going to play. But guys, let me see all your predictions in the chat. If you're here on TikTok, let me see what your predictions are. But I'm going to end today like I do every day with a little Today in Sports History. Today in Sports History, December 18th, 1949. The Philadelphia Eagles beat the Los Angeles Rams 14-0 to win their second and back-to-back NFL championship in a game that is known for the driving rain that caused the field to turn into a mud pit. Pretty fitting for today with all the rain we're getting in Philadelphia. But today in history, December 18th, 1949, Eagles won their second straight NFL championship against the Los Angeles Rams in a mud pit because of all the rain. But I appreciate all you guys in the chat. I'm seeing all of your predictions. I'm hoping that we come back here tomorrow at 10 o'clock and talk about a big win for this Philadelphia Eagles team. And I want to see all the things I said. I want to see Keely Ringo play well. I want to see Shaq Leonard play well. I want to see that offense get back to being a more balanced offense. Running the football, getting their running backs involved early, putting up more points in the first half than 7 points. And obviously, one thing we didn't mention, we absolutely have to get pressure on the quarterback. They have to do a better job of getting to the quarterback, especially on third down. So we will see. But guys, make sure you check out the JAKIB Sports pregame show tonight. Be on the lookout for the link. It'll probably be around 6:30. You'll have me, Seth Joyner, Mark Farzetta, John McMullen, all on the JAKIB Sports Eagles pregame show. Check out the halftime show, me and Mark Farzetta. And then the postgame show, Mike Missinelli joins the crew as well. So make sure you're subscribed to the JAKIB Sports Network on YouTube. Make sure you're following me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, at Bill Colarulo, at Legal Hands to the Face. Give me a follow. We post content all day long on all those platforms. But I appreciate everybody. And I see some of you guys reminding everyone, hit that like button for me. Hit that share button. Love spending my hour with my Power Hour crew. And I appreciate everybody who's tuned in live on TikTok as well. So, guys, I will see you tonight around 6:30 on the JAKIB Sports Eagles pregame show. And as much as I was a little bit negative today, you know I'm bleeding green, and you know we're going to end the show like we do every single week with a little Go Birds.
Go for the polls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.